Questions?
Going into that at bat, did you have any expectation that Colby would do something like that?
He did it, but I pulled Pine, the righties, because he kept throwing that. They threw cutters all day. He did a good job with them. And our guys are, so they have, their cutters are usually great. So it's like the fastball profile and that cutter usually, or a slider, have a similar spin and they sweep, right? So our guys keep trying to stay in like the big part of the field with it, and they're beating our barrels. And I just told the righties, someone's going to have to get the bat like on fastball timing off of their front foot, and if it's a breaking ball and you miss out front, homer it. Like, it's fine if you miss out front, homer it, and if you roll over it, you hook a foul, that's fine. And I didn't obviously think he was going to hit a walk-off homer, but I was sick and tired of watching us trying to like take breaking balls into the middle of the field because it just obviously wasn't working. And Morgan's so strong, and so earlier in the game I was going to pinch hit for him with Hunter, because that guy's batting average against with righties was a lot higher, so like 280 with righties. And then Morgan's a great defender, so I thought I might as well just put him in there, let him get his feet underneath him. And then he popped the same pitch up to center field. So I just told him, if you get it out, if you get it again, homer it. And I don't know if he remembered it or not, but he got the same pitch. I just watched the replay and he homered it. So, and Morgan is such a talented player. He's such a hard-working guy. He shows up every single day. I mean, you should see it. He hasn't started in a month. He's the first guy here in the cages. Every single day, he's on the spin ball, he's on the high hack, he's on the field, he stays late. Like, he is a professional, and I've known Morgan for a long time, and you just respect that, and you want to get those guys an opportunity, and just felt like it was a good matchup. I felt like that guy was a good matchup for Morgan, and obviously he went and did it. But I just can't say enough good things about it, because everyone's gonna remember the home run, and that's awesome. And I'm so glad that God blessed that kid with that moment, because he is so deserving. But what you don't see is when guys fall out of the rotation a little bit. He's been a defensive replacement because he's a great defender. Guys fall out of the rotation and they kind of get a little bit, hopeless, right? Well, I'm not in there and this stinks, I'm not playing, so I just don't show up to work anymore. And to watch a guy, you would think he hits third and plays every day the way that he works and the way that he shows up. And I have a ton of respect for him, a ton of respect for guys that work like that. And I'm glad we won, but I'm probably more happy on a personal level for him, with the respect that I have for him as a human being.
When he entered in the eighth, was the sole purpose of that just to be a defensive replacement?
No, I was going to hit for him. If Hunter's spot was going to come up, I was going to hit for him, but I wanted to keep Hunter on deck because I wanted him to stay with that guy. So not that they were going to switch or not, but I wanted him to stay with that righty, so I left Hunter on deck. And then I thought, well, he's a better defender. I might as well slide him into defense and just let him get his feet underneath him. And it's a 0-0 game. Slide Devin to left, and ended up working out because it's easier for a righty to throw that ball on the relay. It kind of worked out. Now it wasn't my intention, but if there was a lefty, probably safe, right? It's a bang play at the plate. So if you're going to hit with him later, just play defense right now, because he's probably our best overall defender as well. So I wanted to hit with him because I knew it was a good matchup. But in the moment, I knew that if he's going to go in the game, just play defense for the last 2 innings and see what happens.
I hate to revisit this again, but you're a big proponent of adding replay in the Big Ten. We learned this week the Valley has it. Most of every other major conference does, and it sounds like it could be coming soon. But again, you had that play at first they didn't call. You may have lucked out the play at the plate was awful close. So does today continue to show that the Big Ten's dropped the ball on not adding replay like every other conference?
Yeah, well, I'll let you speak for the Big Ten, but what really stinks is that it's unfair to the umpires. That's what stinks. Is I feel bad for those guys. Those guys are trying really hard. They give their best effort, and when there's a bang play, now I'm put in an awful position where I have to go out and I have to argue. I have to stand up for your team. And Rick, like I said, Rick's a good friend. He's an awesome coach. He has to go out there and stand up for his team. There's nothing you can do, but your boys expect you to go out there and stand up for them. And the umpire's just doing the best he can. I mean, the human eye can only do so much. And yes, you're right. Replay is coming, but we have to have it. It's 2023. The world has moved into this area, into this arena. The players are so big and fast and strong. The game is just so much faster. I'm 37, and I'm not that old. I'm probably still one of the youngest head coaches in the country. But the game is so much faster even than when I played. It's incredible. And so we need it for the umpires and for the coaches, for the kids, obviously for the right call in the game, but also just for the relationships for those guys, because I don't want to, I have to go out and talk to your first base umpire last night. I've had him since I was in college. He's an awesome guy. he had to play at first yesterday and to play at the plate tonight. I don't want to go out there. I even told him I don't want to come out here and do this, but I have to, where the guys don't think you have their back. So yeah, as soon as we can, it would just be the right thing to do. And it's coming. It's coming. It is. So we're there, but we just not today. So we kind of have to still do like the dog and pony show, and I have to walk out, and they have to tell me they got it right, and all that stuff that we've been doing for 150 years. It would just be nice to. And then fine, whatever call they make is fine, but it would. And I'm not an arguer. Like I just watch the game predominantly, so I would like to just watch the game. If I could.
The quiet play of this win is Devin Taylor's relay out in left field. He makes a lot of noise with his bat. Haven't really seen him in that many defensive sort of plays. Is that something that he's been working on, or has he always possessed that?
So he was an outfielder in high school primarily, and then I put him at first base almost the whole fall. A little bit of outfield, but predominantly first base, because we had at the time freshman AJ Shepard, who's a terrific player, and AJ ended up with an injury, so he couldn't play this season. So I was trying to get, when I was rotating Tibby and AJ behind the plate with those other couple guys, to see if I could get Devin in at first base with all those outfielders coming back. And then when AJ got hurt, it was like, okay, Tibby's going to have to pretty much play first base. And then we put Devin back out in the outfield predominantly, and tried to get him back up to speed as much as he can. Fortunately for everyone, he's a really natural player, very, very instinctual. His dad played college baseball, which is a huge help. So he gets the game, he understands the game, he's so smart. So he picks things up really quickly, and he's got a really slow heartbeat, just a really slow pulse. If you see him on the bench, he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He just goes and plays. And it's funny, we do cuts and relays every week on our midweek practices, probably once or twice. But I don't always do double cuts down the line because it's really taxing on guys' arms, and we've had a ton of travel and back-to-back double headers and all those things. But I was like, you know what? I got a feeling this is going to be a double cuts weekend. So we did a bunch of double cuts down the lines and moved guys around, and again, kind of ended up coming up in that moment. And when you're making a practice plan, you don't know that, but afterwards you're like, I can't believe I didn't practice that, or I can't believe I didn't do that, and it came up really big for us. So yeah, Devin, what you love about a guy like that is it's like, okay, we're going to switch gears and you're going to have to go back out to the outfield primarily. And he wasn't playing for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and he kind of worked his way into the DH and then into the outfield, and then really then into right field, which is a difficult position to handle, and he's done just a magnificent job of it. And then in the middle of the game, hey, go play left field. It's just you really respect guys that just have an even keel and an even demeanor, and it's not like, well, why am I going here? Why am I doing that? It's just, this is my job, and go do my job. And if coach thinks that's what needs to happen, then I'm just going to go do it. And Devin he's the best.
From a coach's perspective, this is for you, but also in any coach's mindset, when you have a day like today, both pitchers throw a career game. Any other day this year, Sennard pitches that way. You don't win any other day. That guy doesn't pitch like that. You never get it to extras. You have the close plays. What's the mindset of a coach in a game like that where you think, oh, we could have won it, if any other thing didn't happen?
Yeah. Horseshoes and hand grenades, it just, you can't worry about it. You can't be phased. You have to just handle the task at hand, because there's so many decisions that have to be made in real time. Who's coming in next, what's Kraft's pitch count, what's the matchup for versus their next to the lineup, right? Who's going tomorrow, and do we want to shoot our shot here or not? There's so many things going on that you don't have the chance for ifs and buts and what ifs and man, that stinks. And there's just no place for emotion in the game when you're trying to make those decisions. And I try to tell it to the guys, not that I don't want you to have fun, I want you to have fun, but emotional people don't make good decisions. You can't make good choices. I tell my 4-year-old all the time, you can't make good choices when you're holding your breath and stomping around, pal. Like you gotta just handle what you can handle, control what you can control, and make good choices. And that's what you try to get to the kids, but you also have to be an active participant as a coach. If I'm emotional in the dugout and I'm stomping around and I'm throwing a fit, then how am I supposed to hold anybody else accountable for doing that? So I'm thrilled with Luke. I'm thrilled with Ryan Kraft. They've been terrific for us all year. Their guy was terrific, pitched his tail off. And so it is what it is. Life's not always fair. It's tough. Get over it. Like, we're not unique that adversity hits us. And so handle it. And maybe God bless us with that performance today so that we could find our way into that moment later in the game. And you just have to persevere, and we did.
At the end of last season, you mentioned that you would employ defensive shifts kind of dependent upon the quality of the accuracy of the pitching.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of defensive shifts today.
Yeah. We've done Coach Simmons has done a really good job. So we've got a little bit different software than we had last year. So we invested into, and we're fortunate financially that Indiana allows us to invest in some of that technology and some of that software. And so we had a meeting this morning, and Derek kind of pulled me aside, and we'd gone like probably 2/3 of the way into like the optimal shifts. But after yesterday, especially with the guys that we knew we were going through today, we felt really strongly that we could go into like full optimal shifts, and we were just going to play it out. And we did, and it really worked. They hit into them, they hit into the shifts. Derek had them in the right spot. Zach did a great job in the outfield. And, having this staff together in its second year really helps, because now everyone kind of can know their role and know their places. So Coach Glant's not worrying about moving the shortstop at the last minute. We have all the spray charts, all the balls in play. And the question is do we feel confident enough with our execution to be able to go into more of like a high risk, high reward shift? And you got to execute to it. And we did it, beautifully today.
So just a follow-up, is that something that you're more comfortable doing with Sennard on the mound?
Yeah, and Kraft. Kraft's a ground ball guy. They're designed to do exactly what they did today, which is pitch really well, take care of the ball, and put the ball in play. And so they're not going to hook balls down the line. Now I say that, we were in no doubles, and what's his name, the Riggy kid doubles on the first base line with two outs and nobody on, which about gave me an ulcer. But like the one thing you don't want to have happen. But they hit the ball predominantly into the middle of the field the other way. And with 2 strikes, their shifts or their patterns are really strong. And so you can show them that. They can't change it. That's what they practice. And again, they're a great team. They've been ranked in a potential regional host for a reason. But we've been able to use it to our advantage. Again, if you call a fastball in and you move those guys into the 6 hole and up the middle, and then you spray it onto the outside half, like you're going to get some misfires. But we didn't do that, and we were able to take advantage. So yeah, with Sennard, with Kraft, and with some of those guys, we feel strongly. We really kind of started doing it later into the game yesterday, as we kind of saw it was like 4 ground balls in the 6 hole. And it was like, we've got to get Pine off of the line and allow him to free up a little bit. But we did it against Ohio State a couple times, kind of deployed it more. I remember one play specifically. We got 2 strikes on a lefty, Hank Thomas. And Sims looked at me and said, I want to take, because we practice Pine over in the middle all the time, but you got to have some courage to actually like vacate the whole left side. And Sims looked at me and said, hey, you want to go optimal here and put Pine it? And I said, yeah, do it. If you like it, do it. And so he runs over there, very next pitch, right to him, and it gave me a little bit more confidence and peace of mind to employ that. So yeah, we'll do it as much as we can. As a guy like Seti, we can probably do that. He's gonna throw strikes. He's gonna compete pretty much where it's supposed to be at. And Yoho's got really good stuff where you're gonna be able to do some of those things. So we should be able to help them if they'll allow us to help them more and more as we go, especially at home where we know the turf.
Coach, I had 24 missed swings and misses from Sennard and 12 strikeouts. What makes his stuff so difficult to see in the batter's box?
So he's done an awesome job of hiding his fastball with the cutter, and he didn't have the splitter today, so he really wasn't. He was good, but he really wasn't even as good as he has been, where velo was a little bit down and didn't have the splitter. So when his fastball rides a little bit, but the cutter splitter combo really hide the fastball a ton. And so it's kind of like their guy, where it's the fastball is 93, 95, but the cutter's 90, 92. And so it just bores sideways, and you don't know how to attack it. But his cutter is more true, has cutter shape, and has some depth to it, but it looks a lot like the fastball and it moves late. So then the fastball really kind of plays up, and as soon as you kind of get a feel for those two, then he has the curveball. And that's a really devastating pitch, because he's 6'9", so it comes from so high. What I'm excited about for him is as hopefully gets his legs and his breath a little bit here second half, gets the splitter back, and he can kind of, and that's where it really, really gets hard for guys to differentiate. I think the angle, him being so big, is really deceptive. And then when you call a fastball in, he throws it in, and he's coming after you with an attitude. And so now you've got a fastball in, which makes guys make early decisions. And now I've got early decisions, fastball in, and then the cutter plays off of that, and it just makes it really, really hard. And then when he drops the curveball from like the moon, then it really is deceptive. And and he's got guts. He's got guts, and he's going to execute it. So yeah, he was awesome. Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Luke Sennard was handed his first loss last weekend, then comes back this weekend, throws the best start of this season. What did you notice from his demeanor that sort of led to this outburst?
He threw his hardest pitches in the last inning. He grabbed a 93 in the last inning. It's an attitude. When you go recruiting, I recruited Ryan Kraft my first 2 weeks at Indiana, and he was like 81, 84. He was like a freshman in high school. He threw his hardest fastballs on fastballs into righties, and it was like, that guy's going to be a star. When you got guys that throw their hardest pitches in, and they throw their hardest pitches in their last inning, then they've got guts. And he's gone into a whole new role, right? Where it's like all of a sudden you're the ace of a staff, and you're still a young guy. He's a sophomore, and he was fine last week. He did a fine job. I thought it was just a little bit more passive. It's like, hey man, you're a bulldog. Like you're the man, and go out there and continue to do what makes you special. And Coach Clant does such an awesome job of really challenging those guys. You tell those guys in the fall you're really hard on them, and you're hard on them to try to put armor on them, right? To toughen them up, because these things are dog fights, and they're tough, and they've got to be tough. And we were really hard on Luke in the fall, and he wanted it and embraced it. And it's like, hey man, you've done it. You've established yourself as that guy. Just give us what you got and go compete. And he's got an attitude, and he pitched with it. So I don't know if it was necessarily different. I think it was he just wants to win so bad, and you could smell it, you could sense it, and he got better as he went. And just what a performance, right?
Great. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks
Thank you.
everybody.